Sacramento, I mean, is definitely not the same place it was 15 years ago, maybe not even 10 years ago. The growth we're having here in Sacramento with all the new home communities building and growing is just absolutely nuts. And for me, I like it. I like, areas that are developing, new Costco's that are out there. I think for a lot of people who grew up in Sacramento, like Curtis Park area, East Sacramento area, they might feel a little disconnected from the other spots of the Sacramento metro, like your Folsoms, your El Dorado Hills. But for the most part, that's what's coming for Sacramento. Now, we'll talk a little bit about what has happened before, and we'll talk a little bit about the present right now too. In fact, we'll hit the present now. Right now, what we're seeing is a lot of infrastructure being done, right? Kind of a, you know, backwards kind of way, right? But we're seeing all this stuff happen on the 50, which should be done this year. But we're seeing infrastructure put in to support the growth of all these various areas, like, Elk Grove with their new homes, Folsom with their new homes, West Sacramento with their new homes and everything too. So we're seeing infrastructure kind of being put in after the fact. We're getting a lot of people who are moving into the Sacramento area. Now, a lot of people might go, oh, the housing market's horrible, it's going to crash and whatnot. I'm gonna tell you something. Like, if you look at all the new homes that have been put up in the Sacramento area, majority of those homes at this point in time are like lived in, bought, purchased, people own them. And so for me, that just says one thing, that Melrose, although a lot of people hate it, are something that's going to be going towards newer schools, newer parks and all that stuff too. We're transforming into a whole different type of area, the Sacramento metro, and we've only kind of just begun, aka Karen Carpenter. With things like happening in like West Roseville, like the surf park. I mean, Costco just opened, what was it, about a week and a half ago? I mean, there's two Costco's in Roseville. That's just, for me, blows my mind. There's gonna be another Costco also in El Dorado Hills as well too, and there's probably gonna be a few more popping their heads up as well. So our growth is just happening even during markets that everywhere else in the country is really, really slow, and people are like, I was watching this video in Dallas, and they're just basically saying that like there's houses that have been sitting forever, builders are stopping to build, there's inventory on the market, and our market, our days of our market is increasing. We have some resale out there, and there are quick move-in deals also, in certain communities, but we're still moving, and comparatively towards other markets in the United States, we're doing just fine. All we need is for interest rates to kind of drop a little bit, maybe into the fives, and we're up and running again. Now, for Sacramento, I grew up in Marin County, and I remember driving through Sacramento, and it was funny because I saw it as kind of a slow kind of cow town. There's a lot of farms. It just seemed like a lot of land. And I had to drive through that freeway to get to Lake Tahoe. And that's kind of what I remembered about Sacramento. I had a really good friend of mine named Tim who lived in Sacramento. So we occasionally went to his parents' house to stay. And it just seemed very kind of like slower. It just didn't seem like really like fast-paced place. It seemed very much like, ranch style homes, a lot of RVs, a lot of boats. It just seemed kind of like that, everything was spread out. There wasn't a whole lot of activity happening in Sacramento. Now, 2026, completely a different landscape here in Sacramento. In fact, I want to show you guys something, and I put this together just for you guys. All right. Glasses go on. All right. So if you look at it here, you're seeing some of the spots that are traditional Sacramento, which I mean, they have the houses that are in the 20s and 30s, 40s and everything too. You have your kind of like old school, like East Sacramento's, that for time being, we're like, that's where anyone who is looking for that higher kind of like price point, East Sacramento is kind of that spot. Land Park was another spot. You can see that's adjacent to kind of like the downtown area, because what happened in Sacramento is the majority of people worked downtown. That was just a thing, Sacramento downtown, that's where you work, this remote work stuff wasn't around, and this is kind of what it was. So you saw areas like your East Sacramento and your land parks kind of start developing. Areas like Elk Grove were very farmy. Roseville at that point probably didn't even exist, and Folsom didn't as well too. So what you saw for the most part is Sacramento developing in these areas like Land Park and East Sacramento, and they still do have that high price point, like $2 million houses and everything too. But these areas, especially the Fab 40s, these areas developed around the idea of people who had to live in like downtown Sacramento. Work downtown Sacramento, but didn't want to live in downtown. They wanted a little separation, church and state. And then you have areas that kind of develop even further out. And they're like, well, you know what? I really don't have to go to work that often, or, I want to go kind of further out. And then you have areas like Sierra Oaks that kind of pop their heads out, right? You got Sierra Oaks where you can get a lot more land out there. You can get a lot like more acreage, but you're still not too far from downtown, downtown Sacramento, which was nice. And then you see kind of this development and this growth of various little areas that are kind of close to downtown, like the pocket also right here, where it's like, yeah, close to Elk Grove, close to Sacramento. I'm still relatively there. So the necessity of kind of like being close to downtown Sacramento for jobs all of a sudden became something that, these areas started sprouting up. But then all of a sudden, what we noticed is that, people were okay driving down the freeway and going to areas like, Arden Arcade, Carmichael, Fair Oaks, even too. And that became almost like the outskirts of the Sacramento area. That was like Carmichael was your Folsom, and Fair Oaks was almost like your El Dorado Hills. It was like that far out. And you could tell also, if you look at some of these homes by the year they were built, we're talking like 70s, we're talking 80s. And areas like Folsom and Roseville were still not really, really developed. And Elk Grove was completely farmy as it was. And so all of a sudden, what we noticed is going up the freeway, we saw more employers pop their heads up, and all of a sudden these areas started developing, Folsoms, your El Dorado Hills, your Elk Groves, because all of a sudden, we became less reliant on kind of the downtown job sector, and people were working in Elk Grove. They were working in Folsom, or also they had that option of coming to downtown because there wasn't too much traffic like there is today. And traffic, one of those things that you guys have to realize that if you are coming up to Sacramento, traffic is becoming a big, big issue. I'm hearing more and more people saying, I just don't want to deal with the 50. You can't wait till it's done. A lot of people are not liking the 80. A lot of people are trying to take arteries like, like Bradshaw, like Sunrise, like Hazel. And it's just not, just not set up right. And mainly it's because of the way Sacramento kind of grew. Now, if you see this map right here, majority of like areas like your Dallases or your other areas, they have a big, and I know the verbiage, but it's been a long day, guys. There's a freeway usually around this entire area. So, you're able to kind of connect to El Dorado Hills. You're able to connect to Rockland. We don't have that, mainly because of like Folsom Lake. And so, we had to kind of deal with these sub kind of streets in Sacramento. Like how many of you guys have been like on Sunrise at 5 o'clock or 8 o'clock in the morning? I mean, they're just nightmares, right? Hazel, Sierra, Bradshaw. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Our entire metro area wasn't based on the idea of this type of growth. And as you can see here, I mean, we're just growing and growing and growing. Areas now like Elk Grove are going to have probably like 15 to 20,000 brand new homes. You're talking like Folsom Ranch, that whole Folsom area as well over here developing. And you're talking right there's going to be another, like 15,000. I mean, combined, there's going to be about 15,000 homes, and they're still building. You got Toll Brothers building it as well too. Then you got the West Sacramento area and everything too. So we're kind of changing our entire kind of look, right? Instead of going from like areas where they have these like houses built in the 20s and the 40s, some places have basement like in East Sacramento Land Park. You're seeing a lot of builders like Taylor Morrison, Lennar, Woodside kind of dominate the area. And you're seeing more like the elevations of like your Tuscans, your luxury farmhouses and everything too. And that's kind of like engulfing the Sacramento area right now too, especially if you're like in one of the new home areas, like your West Rosevilles or your Ranchos or your Folsoms or whatnot. So you're seeing a lot of that happen. And you're seeing areas, that are developing also like in El Dorado Hills or like a Rockland, because a lot of people now are either retiring and moving up the freeway to like, your Lincolns where you got like Sun City, or these active communities are sprouting up, which are just crazy, amazing active communities. They're like cruise ships on land. But you also have a lot of people who are saying, you know what, I can work from home. I think Rockland works for me, or El Dorado Hills works fine for me. I don't have to go downtown Sacramento. In fact, I've never even seen downtown Sacramento. I just want a spot where I have good internet, hit the Zoom, and I'm good to go. So our landscape is really, really kind of changing, and you're seeing us less dependent on downtown and more dependent on pockets. For example, if you live somewhere like a Roseville and a Rockland, your main hub of shopping is going to be the Galleria. It's going to be the fountains. You're eating, you're going to go there. You're going to probably go to some nice restaurants in Rockland and in Roseville. Maybe now and again, take a tour. You maybe go to Folsom to visit some friends or go to downtown Sacramento. But for the most part, that's going to be the hub that you're going to be near. Now, a lot of that also comes into play if you look at the Costcos. Do you notice how we have all these different Costcos in a lot of different areas? It's because majority of people, we don't really want to drive from point A to point B because it's kind of a driving city. So Costcos are strategically set up so we have our little pockets, right? Like El Dorado Hills and Folsom. For the most part, if you live in Eldo or you live in Folsom, your shopping is going to be done in Folsom, El Dorado. You might shoot to Roseville, maybe to see some, the stores over there, like your Louis Vuitton, your Gucci's. But for the most part, you're going to stay in kind of your hub. And the beautiful part about the Sacramento area in general is the fact that between, between all these kind of areas, you have all this greenery. You have the Sacramento River, you have the American River, you got Folsom Lake, you got Lake Natoma, you got the American River Bike Trail also. I think it's like 34 miles of paved bike roads. You have hiking, biking, and you have all these neighborhood activities. So if you look at Sacramento in general and you say to yourself, I want to move to Sacramento, you have these pockets where you can take a look at. Now, let's say for someone, let's say you're like thinking about moving to Sacramento and you have to move in Folsom. What we always recommend to our clients is first kind of look at areas that are somewhat close to Folsom, like your El Dorado Hills, maybe even your Fair Oaks. Why? Because right now what we're seeing is traffic is getting even more cumbersome, right? 5 o'clock, it's getting a little brutal. Now, I'm not even saying it's close to like Bay Area traffic or LA traffic, but let's face it, wherever you live, traffic is traffic. It adds more time to the minutes you're not seeing your family or you're not getting home. And it's really a pain, right? I mean, I've been showing houses sometimes in Lincoln and I come home at 5 o'clock, and I'm shooting home and I'm sitting there on Sierra and it adds maybe another 25 minutes to my drive time. So that's just kind of one of the things to look at if you're moving in. If you're a Folsom person, I say, 50 is a good place to start. El Dorado Hills, Fair Oaks, Carmichael, that's a nice kind of area to kind of start. And then if you're like someone who needs to be by the 80 or the 65, you got your Rocklands, you got your Roseville, you got your Loomis, you got your Whitney Ranch. Now, some areas are nice because they're kind of in the middle of everything. You got your Orangevales and you got your Grant Bay, so you can kind of go to both sides. But also you look at Orangevale and it's kind of landlocked. So is Citrus Heights. So as you're thinking about making the move here to Sacramento, realize that we've only just begun building these new homes. We have more new homes that are coming our way. I mean, Toll Brothers just announced, they told me underneath that they're going to be building in West Sacramento, which no one knows about. But so they're going to be building also in West Sacramento. So we're building in all these different areas of Sacramento. And it's interesting because if you look at it, Elk Grove is over here and we got a whole bunch of building right there. Then we got like, your Folsom area where they're building tons of homes over there too. El Dorado Hills is just started breaking ground on East Ridge Village, which is like 747 lots right above Blackstone as well too. So you're looking at a city in a metro area that really wasn't set up to support this type of growth, but we're getting it. So what does that mean to you if you're moving in here? Make sure you know exactly where you're like living. Make sure that if you have to commute, you're being smart about it. Make sure that you figure drive times and you also figure that, how can I say, like the expansion, the new communities that are going, what's going to be happening with the connector project, what is actually going on. For example, I talked to my buddy Nick, who I'm having lunch with tomorrow, and he moved into Folsom Ranch, and he's like, East Bidwell, it doesn't even matter at this point. And I was like, yeah, it's 5 o'clock in the afternoon or 8. It's just always brutal. He's like, no, he's like, you don't understand. For me right now, East Bidwell, it's always absolutely brutal. I don't see any time right now where East Bidwell isn't just a bottleneck. And a lot of people are feeling that way as well because of all the new homes that are being built in the Folsom Ranch area right over here. So you had an area normally, and this is where kind of like the first piece of Folsom was built out. You got your Briggs Ranch, you have, like Rancho Diablo, you have your Lexington Hills, you have all that stuff too. And this area was, it was spread out nicely. And then all of a sudden in this area is where you have all the new homes. And you got like, at this point, it's got to be around maybe 8,000 new homes, and they're building a whole bunch more. They have a nice active community as well too. But with all these homes coming in right here, what you're seeing is just a huge, huge bottleneck on East Bidwell. Same thing is happening in Elk Grove as well too. And in West Roseville, they're creating the what's called Placer Parkway, and they're creating the Roseville Parkway as well too, that whole thing. So that's going to be very nice because right now, if you go out there, it is a little bit of like 2-lane. I mean, there's more lanes to drive through, but they're going to definitely need to expand that to support all the growth that's happening in the West Roseville area, like the Amoroso Ranch, Winding Creek, Fittyman, West Park. And then that's going to connect all the way to like Placer 1. And then we're talking past Placer 1, we're talking to Bickford Ranch. So as far as the traffic goes, as far as everything goes in the Sacramento area, like our growth is going to be crazy. And you're going to be seeing building from now, I don't know, till the end of time, at times it seems. And what do you guys think? Is there too much building happening in Sacramento? For me, it's hard because on one side, I see building, bringing in like the Mellows, which people are paying, and bringing in brand new schools. I mean, there's two schools opening up in Rancho. Elk Grove's got a couple. Lincoln's got a couple. West Roseville. I mean, there's going to be all brand new school for all the kids who are moving in all those areas, which I think is just fantastic. We got brand new parks. We're talking about splash pads. We're talking about crazy things, right? I mean, it's really looking similar to some of these like outdoor parks that you see in some of these Texas videos. So for me, I think it's interesting to see the landscape shaping the way it is. And I think that we are going to continue to grow, develop, because we have land. The Bay Area doesn't have land to build. LA is running out of land as well too. So for us, we have land. I mean, if you look at it right here, I mean, we've got so much land to build around all these spots. I mean, we haven't even touched yet like Shingle Springs, like your Grass Valley. Rancho Marietta over here too is a little bit of a nice spot where they're, Toll Brothers is going to be building as well too. So we have so much land in the Sacramento area, and you have builders that are just picking up land left and right. We got builders like Toll Brothers, Taylor Morrison, Lennar, Woodside, TriPoint, Khov, Richmond American, Tim Lewis, what's called Anthem Homes. We have so many builders building communities. And it's not just like, oh yeah, hey, Taylor Morrison's building one community. Talking like Taylor Morrison just opened one up in Roseville. They're going to be opening one up in Rancho, another one in Rancho. They're going to be opening up another one in Folsom. I mean, there are so many new communities, and the builders that I named don't only just have one community. You're going to find a builder lowball. They're probably going to have 3 communities in the area. High, they're probably going to have like JMC. JMC's got to have at least like, maybe like 7 or 8 communities with different like collections as well too. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be an interesting ride for the Sacramento area. But for all the people who grew up in Sacramento, I think, affordability is definitely like not part of the game anymore here too. I think if you're thinking affordability and you want to stay in the Sacramento metro, as I mentioned before in this podcast or the show, whatever you want to call it, areas like Linda, areas like Plumas Lake, areas like, Olivehurst, those are going to be the more affordable spots. Or if you're someone who maybe wants a little bit more land, areas like maybe Grass Valley could work for you. And maybe even areas like Shingle Springs as you go up the hill. Now, I know what everyone's going to say right now too. Shingle Springs, all those areas, we're talking home insurance. It depends. You know what I mean? I haven't seen a lot of people running into issues in Linda or Plumas Lake too much. But I would definitely check with the home insurance specialist as well too, just to kind of figure out exactly what that looks like. But so that's kind of how Sacramento is kind of growing. And pretty soon, we'll pop on the show, and there's going to be brand new communities probably in Shingle Springs. And then there's going to be brand new communities popping up in like Mather. Everything in Rancho Marietta, there's probably going to be 3 or 4 too. I mean, we are expanding and we're growing like crazy. Now, the funniest thing is that I keep looking at areas like your Dallases, your Houston, and, Phoenix and everything too. And what you're seeing right now is our area builders are still buying land and they're still building communities. But a lot of the areas like in North Dallas and everything too, the builders have kind of pulled away and they're not doing it anymore. They're finding that it's not as, the ROI just isn't there as much. So what you're probably going to notice in areas like Texas, areas like Arizona, they're going to be slowing down on the new home construction, where with our ROI, they're going to be building for a long, long time. And the shame a little bit is the fact that areas like the East Sacramento, the Sierra Oaks, the Pocket, the Land Parks, the Southland Parks, the Tahoe Parks, all those areas are going to be, I think, they're beautiful, but they're also going to be the only part of Sacramento that is not going to really feel that tracky as far as what we're doing. Now, for me, I live in a track home. I absolutely love it. Gold River, woohoo, I'm good. In fact, the funniest thing is I was actually telling my wife this a couple of days ago because, if you buy an older home, I mean, it's great. You have that community, you have that whole thing established, everything, and you have this home and, the history of the area and everything too. The only thing is that the kicker is that with any home, I mean, my home was built in the 80s and it is a genuine, the maintenance on these homes, just because we kind of live in the elements in Sacramento, we got the heat hitting our like siding, and we got the rain coming in and everything too for the fences and the wind and everything. So, if you do get an old home, just realize that as much as you might not have Mellows, what I'm finding myself is that the maintenance of the home, the siding, the landscaping, the pergola needs to be redone, everything too. And with these new homes, I'm looking at them and just going like energy efficient, Everything's kind of brand new in this home. You got the 10-year structural warranty by the builder. You got the fit and finish, a year fit and finish. And I think what you're going to notice is the more that builders start building and you see, communities like Shawwood pop up, the more you're going to see a lot of people that are more on board with the new homes. And that's kind of what I've been seeing in Sacramento, because for a while before COVID, new homes weren't a thing. New homes weren't that big of a deal. It was normally for a lot of the people in the Bay Area, and they're buying new homes like in an Elk Grove or maybe like in a, Roseville area. But now, I mean, new homes are catching on like crazy. And, instead of twisting someone's arm and saying, you want to go take a look at a new home? Majority of the calls we get are people who are like, I want to look at new homes. And I also wouldn't mind looking at some resale, but I don't want them to be too old as well too. And that's one of the things that I'm running into a lot. So I think that, new homes are here to stay. I think that what they bring to the table is something that's going to help Sacramento hit another level. And, no more Cowtown for sure. All right. Happy to be here. Happy to have you. And you guys, if you guys are enjoying the broadcast and everything too, and you can probably tell from the tone of my voice, I was a history major, or one of my majors. So I love this stuff. Good evening, everyone. Good evening to you, Pamela. Granted, Sacramento needed to change because it looked outdated when I visited 15 years ago. However, I hope it doesn't make the same mistake as my hometown and overbuild. Yeah, I think there are areas that I'm already seeing that. I'd say like, here's the thing. El Dorado Hills is an interesting one. For me, I find it very interesting that they actually were okay with East Ridge Village building those 747 lots. I was surprised at that because El Dorado Hills is very, very bougie and very, very like on top of stuff. In fact, they were going to have an Amazon Supercenter built in El Dorado, and they just crushed that. They just didn't let that happen. So I was actually surprised that East Ridge Village was approved and they were building it. But, I do think that, El Dorado Hills is still pretty solid as far as like the views, as far as the driving, as far as the hills. I think it's good. I think the areas people might be like, oh, they're overbuilding. Probably Folsom Ranch. I would say Rancho probably just a little bit. I don't think West Roseville, honestly, because I think in West Roseville, they're kind of doing it right. What you notice in West Roseville is the fact that they started with West Park, and then they created these little kind of, sub areas, right? So you have like West Park, then you had Fittyment, then you had like Winding Creek, and then you have Amoroso. And they're all kind of spread apart a little bit. So you still have patches of land kind of in between it. So it doesn't feel like as like your Folsom Ranch. I think Elk Grove too, I think it might be a little in danger of overbuilding as well too, because I do see so many houses going up there. And the price point is just going up in Elk Grove too. And people, how do you say, in Folsom, I would say that if you had a chance to buy a resale home in Folsom, people would jump on that before new homes. In Elk Grove, I think it's like new homes. And I think the resale homes are they just don't even, it's just not even comparison. So I think, especially in the 757, I'm just seeing people so like, the market for new homes in like Elk Grove is just crazy. Other areas, I think like, if you ask someone about Roseville and you're like, hey, if you had a chance to buy a resale home in Roseville or a brand new home in West Roseville, which one would you choose? I think they'd be like, I want to see both. I'm not really sure. I like the idea of being closer to Gallery and Fountains, but I just don't think there's that draw in Elk Grove. And I think people prefer the new homes, the incentives, and the build. And I don't know. I mean, for me, the more new homes I see, communities that I've seen like Cahove developing, like Canyon, what's called the other one, Reserve, and then the Tri-Point community and Rancho Bloom, where you can get an amazing home for like $800,000. I mean, one of these homes that is just like drop dead wow home with a nice sized backyard. That's pretty amazing, especially if you compare it to like a Bay Area or you compare it to a Los Angeles. So for me, new homes, I think, are not only here to stay, I think they're converting a lot more people because of the interest rates, incentives, but I think also for the idea that you're going to get something new, you're going to have to deal with a lot of the maintenance. And I'm not saying there's going to be no problem with new homes because, it's just like anything. When something is mass produced and they're building a whole bunch of them, you are going to have problems with some of the houses, 100%. But, you have to also realize the fact that some of the resale you're seeing were also mass produced, right? So for me, my next home, and I told my wife this a couple of days ago, it's probably going to be a new home just because At least I want that little bit of a maybe 6 to 10 years where I'm not going to really have to deal with like, siding, or I'm not going to have to deal with like, the roof being replaced, or I'm not going to deal with like a new HVAC or a new furnace, or, the septic, or, the sewer system. It's just, for me, it's just, all those things tend to add up to in the resale market. So just something to think about. But that's kind of where I see Sacramento kind of going. We're kind of the new home kind of capital of California, in my opinion. All right. Granted, Sacramento needed a chance because, and 15 years ago, it's funny because I talked to a lot of people who grew up in Sacramento, and like Aaron, we did that. He had him on the show a bunch of times. We were doing our thing on Monday. Like, he told me, he's like, it was like Elk Grove was, he grew up in Elk Grove, and he was like, it was such a cow town. I mean, it was crazy how much it changed. And back in, I don't know when it was, but like I had a friend of mine a long, long time ago who lived in Roseville, and I went and visited him as well too. And he was one of like the first people, his family was one of the first people to buy into Roseville as well too. And to see what Roseville is right now, it's just amazing. And I think that for a lot of the people who are moving into the Sacramento area, I mean, we've got so much fun stuff ahead. And think about it this way, like last year was a difficult market for most real estate markets in the United States. You have your Dallas, you have your Houstons, you have your Phoenixes, you have all that stuff. And they all were rough. And in fact, if you look at the market, their inventory levels are crazy. Things are staying on the market longer, way longer than they should. Our market, it was a market that was kind of a flatline market. But at the same time, I'm telling you this from a real estate standpoint, things are selling. People are buying. There's definitely a lot of movement already in this year. I'm talking to a lot of realtors. Now, it isn't like everyone's buying and everyone's selling and everyone's putting stuff in the contract and everyone's getting new homes. Buyers are definitely specific about what they're looking for, and there's not a huge like rush to jump into the market. But there's a lot of activity, and people definitely feel comfortable, and they feel like if they see what they want, they're ready to make a move. And I think sellers are feeling the same kind of way. They're like, if we get a price that makes sense to us, we'll move. So I think there is a little bit of this market. And I think also, as much as it pains me to say it, I think there's a lot of people also leaving California, which I think is going to free up a lot of inventory for people who are looking for amazing homes in amazing areas. All right. We got Lori. Hey, Lori. Hey, missed you last week. Overall, checked in. Good. Orangevale in the house. Also, guys, I announced it earlier. I went up to Shawwood, and they wouldn't let me in on the secret of where they're building in West Roseville or Lincoln. But I did talk to Toll Brothers, and we had a nice little conversation, and they told me that one of the spots that they purchased land was West Sacramento, which very, very much interested me because I was wondering if they bought land in West Sacramento that was on the water, because how cool would that be? I mean, honestly, a Toll Brothers community, Toll Brothers homes on the water in West Sacramento. So if they've got a lot of faith in West Sacramento, that might tell you something. Roy, to the next one. We'll be interested to see developers will start renting out single family homes that don't sell. I don't know. I mean, right now, okay, let me see if I can look over like what I'm seeing. I think that there are some communities, like I was talking to a couple that moved in, and today, I'm not going to mention names. I don't want to give anyone's names out, but he was also mentioning the fact that, Cahove and Rancho Reserve was doing fantastic. Canyon was doing fantastic, but, like Silverbrook had a lot of inventory on the market. So I think it's also not only builders, but I also think it's communities. I think some builders might be missing the mark. I know Cressley and Rancho is hurting big time because they went down in price point and they went down in size. And I think Elliott also isn't doing too hot also. So I think that you just have to really, if you are looking for the deal, you really have to know what you have to kind of look where everyone else isn't. In Rancho, I don't know why Cressley made that downshift, because I think right now Cahove and I think Tri Point Bloom are just, they're building dirt right now. They don't have really any inventory. So I think that you have to be very strategic about this market. I think people still love big homes and everything too. It would be interesting to see if these guys start renting homes, but I don't know if they're going to really need to. I think they're going to slash prices, sell inventory, make the stock, the stock owners happy, and go on their merry way. I think they're going to do Lennar strategies. And Lennar is usually known for just chopping prices, getting inventory gone, creating new community, and going. So I think you're going to see a little bit more of that mentality. Now, I also have noticed in Sacramento, we got a patch of good weather. It's sunny here. It's warm. warmer than it has been. It was like 68 degrees today, and it felt actually pretty good. So I do think that once the Super Bowl is over, we're going to kind of be able to tell right now how the market is doing, because Super Bowl is always such a huge, huge indicator in the Sacramento area. So it's going to be interesting to see how our market does. For me, like I said before, and I've called this for a while, I do think that there's a couple of things that we have to watch on the market, right? Number one, of course, rates, but that's kind of obvious. I think in May, probably before May, we got to figure out exactly what's going to happen with Jerome Powell when he steps out of office. It'll be interesting because a lot of people are going to bet if he leaves, what's going to happen. So the bond market should be really, really active. Now, if you guys, wonder about interest rates, are interest rates going up or go down? 10-year treasury, that's what you look at. If you look at it and it's kind of doing a lot of funky stuff before Jerome Powell leaves the office, follow that. That's going to tell you a lot about where rates are going to go. So that would be my big thing to you guys. I would say that's going to be it. For me, I kind of think this year is going to be kind of a mimic of last year. And the big thing is, and someone mentioned it, I can't take credit for this, someone else mentioned this last week, is that also I think it's going to be also dependent on sellers, what sellers are going to be about, what they're going to do about their pricing. If they're going to bring the stuff that they listed last year back on the market in March, and we're going to see a lot of inventory March and April because a lot of people are holding back on their inventory. March and April, you're going to see houses get listed. It will be interesting to see the pricing we see on houses, because as someone who is very active in the market right here, I can tell you that if a house is priced aggressively, it moves. I mean, we listed a house in Elk Grove. We did aggressive pricing and it went way over ask. A couple days it was in contract. I've also seen homes in Elk Grove, in Folsom and everything too, even in Folsom, that are clearly overpriced and they are sitting. So it's going to be a very interesting market. It's going to be very interesting to see how sellers, once they throw their houses on the market in March, where is that pricing? Is it aggressive? Is it let's get rid of these houses, let's make a deal? Or is it I got a 2.75, I still want a certain price for my house? And that's going to be one of the big factors that I see happening this year as well too. For us, it's always been aggressive pricing that wins the day. And you've got to trust your team you're working with, whoever you're listing with, you got to trust them. And the other thing too is if they're telling you, hey, go low, this is the pricing, and you say, no, I don't want to go low, I want to go high. They say, okay, we can go high. Just imagine how they're going to negotiate for you. Probably not that well. So just understand you got to go with realtors who really know what they're doing, stick to their guns, have a good strategy. And if you do find that person, whoever that is, hopefully it's our team, but whoever that is, you got to go with someone you trust, because at the end of the day, they're going to be the quarterback of getting your house sold for the best possible price. Okay. Oh, and one more thing to note. I met this really amazing couple in Davis. And I was talking a little bit about doing a move, if you're trying to sell and if you're trying to buy a home. And how I look at that is that, if you are doing a contingent deal, if you are thinking about buying and you're thinking about selling, right? I always say the first thing you should always do is find the house that you're going to move into and be completely 100% ready to go for that house. Now, I always suggest getting photos done, getting the listing agreement locked in and everything too, because then if you go in contingent, you at least have all that stuff ready to go and you can leverage your offer to get your offer accepted. New homes is not that hard to do, but they also want your marketing strategy. They want the listing, they want the photos, they want the videos and everything too. So if you are doing contingencies, I would say the main piece of the puzzle is getting everything dialed in so you can list on a moment's notice and finding the house first. I would suggest not listing and then doing a 30-day rent back and then going out there to look at a house. Inventory isn't what you think it's going to be. It's not going to be you're going to go out there for a weekend, you're going to find the perfect house. I've been seeing a lot of our clients that take a month, 2 months, even 6 to 8 months to find the house. Not because they're picky. I mean, I would be, and they tend to know what they want, but it's more just because a lot of people just aren't seeing the inventory they're falling in love with. And at this point in time, if you're locking in let's say a 6.2 interest rate, you don't want to settle, or at least I wouldn't want to settle. So you're seeing a lot of people who are saying, look, if I'm going to jump into this market, if I'm going to get that type of monthly payment, I better really love what I'm buying. And so that's the type of market that I'm seeing right now. And, I don't blame anyone for it. All right, we got Ginger. Okay, resale homes will be worth putting in sweat equity. These new homes are being built way too fast for my comfort. You hear so many problems arise with them. Yeah, and here's the thing for me. I would say, inspections are key. Um, but here's the thing about both of them. You know, there's so many pros and cons to both. It's hard, right? For me, when I was looking, and this was what, like 4 years ago, man, 4 or 5 years ago, I could have gone either way, right? For me, it was more about floor plan. It was more about finding the right floor plan, finding the right area, and happy wife, happy life, that kind of vibe. That was for me. So for me, the reason why I chose Gold River was because my wife's family lives all in the Gold River area. And so for me, it just made sense, and she was happy and my daughter was happy. And, of course, that's the main things for me. And, but if there was a new community that was being built, that was, in Gold River, I probably would have checked it out myself too. I did see some communities that were, in Anatolia. I did see Woodside was building a community that I liked out there too. And it was a little bit of a cheaper price point that I was looking at in Gold River, and they had incentives. The only thing I didn't like was the fact that at that point in time, Woodside didn't have big backyards. And for me, there was a part of me that was like, yeah, the landscaping I want to do, I probably want to throw in a pool. It's about 120 on top of what I'm doing. And it just kind of didn't make sense. So that's kind of why I went in the direction of resale. But I do think also, for resale, sweat equity, if you can keep up with the maintenance, and that's a big one too. And for me, I'm huge when it comes to maintenance. If something needs to get done, get it done. I've seen so many houses in the resale market where we go to list them, and it's because I know we should have taken care of it, but we didn't, and we kind of let it fester, and then one thing built to another thing, and then all of a sudden there's a million things wrong with the house. I would say, and the biggest advice to anyone is understand that your home that you live in, new, resale, or whatever, is going to be eventually one day sold. And the condition that you're going to sell it is going to reflect on the money you get back for it. So you might have to invest a little bit in a brand new HVAC or a roof or like landscaping or a curb appeal. But at the end of the day, this is going to be the money you get back from your house as well too. And believe me, if you let maintenance, get away from you, you're going to be kicking yourself for that straight up. All right. Boom. I just sent the link to a local realtor who left a flyer at my house. I love it. That's awesome. Thank you. I appreciate it. Hi from the Central Valley. Hey, hopefully you're doing good. Oh, hey, also, Claudia, I've been wanting to get someone from the Central Valley on the show and talk a little Central Valley and Sacramento. So if you're ever game, let me know. I want to also bring other realtors on the show and talk a little bit about other parts. I've been wanting to get realtors from like Dallas, Charlotte, Bay Area, and everything too to pop on the show, because I'd love to do a little like Pepsi challenge of our market against other markets to see how they're doing. So I think that'd be fun. All right. I did get on list to get my property sent to my inbox and talk to a realtor in Lathrop area. I need to drive there to look around. Yeah, I mean, I would say drive there, look around, and, for realtors just in general, and this is what I tell everybody, like, how do you say it's like, you're going to get a good vibe from a realtor, everything too. It's also about like how fast they pick up the phone, how they are to answer your questions, and if they're treating it like the most. Because what I find is a lot of realtors, especially the realtors who are really, really fast and they're focused on like the check and everything too, just make sure they realize and they just don't put the check in front of like your buy or your sell, right? The average person is probably going to buy a couple of houses during the course of their life, and these are huge, huge purchases. These are huge transactions, and they're big deals, right? You don't want to work with someone who is just kind of like thinking of the check or thinking of like, just let's get this one done and move on to the next. You don't want that. You want someone who is very attentive, someone who picks up the phone, someone who is there for you. I mean, as realtors, we do make a good living, and there's no reason why you can't pick up the phone. There's no reason why you can't answer someone's questions. And a lot of people who worked with me, a lot of people who have worked with me, let me see if I can get some. A lot of people who've worked with me will probably understand what I'm saying because I've said it directly to them. I do real estate therapy. Not only do I do real estate, but I do real estate therapy. What does that mean? That means if you have a problem, if you are stressing out about something, I don't want you to go to sleep at night freaking out about something. I don't want you to stay up till 2 a.m. sweating it. If I can answer that question for you, even at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock on a Sunday night, I'm good with it. I'm good with talking you through it. I'm good with explaining everything about maybe a deal you submitted or maybe like this or that or the other thing. That's kind of part of what you do. And that's one of the things about realtors. And I think a lot of realtors miss that. we know this stuff, or you should know this stuff if you're a good realtor, backwards and forwards. We've been down the road. And that's the biggest thing that I think, there's other things, but one of the things that we bring to the table is the fact that, like, you might not know about contingency removals. You might be looking through an inspection report and the thing's like 75 pages and you're freaking out about some of these things. Like, that's what we are here for. So that Sunday at 7 o'clock, and you put an offer on a house and you have 3 days to release the inspection contingency, and you're freaking out and you're trying to reach your realtor, and he's not picking up the phone, and you're freaking out. You're thinking you're going to lose your deposit and everything too. The thing that kills me is a realtor sometimes doesn't even pick up the phone and says, like, hey, let's go over this for you. What are you freaking out about? Let's go over this. Let me show you this. Let me show you that. This is what we're going to do. It's so easy to alleviate the kind of stress that our clients get. So for me, I consider myself a good realtor. I consider myself a great communicator. And I honestly, if there was a degree in real estate therapy, I think I'd be like, cum laude or whatever that is, because that's what I would want. I'd want someone to answer every question I had. I'd want someone to alleviate stress. I'd want someone to realize that I had a full-time job. I have a full-time job, and I can't completely focus on every little piece of detail in the transaction. I need someone to get my back. And, I mean, honestly, in our industry right now, there's a lot of good realtors, but there's also a lot of realtors who, just don't live up to it. So make sure you're picking the right person. There we go. I knew I'd come to the point eventually. She had never heard of you, but thank me just now for the link. Cool. And like I said, I know now and again I bag on realtors here and there, but I will tell you this, I've met a ton of great realtors as well too. Realtors who care, realtors who are passionate about what they do, realtors who tell me, man, there's nothing else and I'd rather do than this. Realtors who actually, it's funny, have quit jobs that are like really, really, they're really successful in other industries, but they're like, no, this is what I love to do. And they're on the phone, they're taking calls, and they're taking care of their clients. So there are a lot of amazing realtors out there too. It's just the the sector of realtors that get really annoy me. Cool. Hopefully she tunes in. And like I said, any realtor you think is good, have them reach out to me. I'll bring them on the show. All right. You should pull up 4730 Holiday Lane, El Dorado Hills. It's a case study right now. Silent market for months at $849. Took it off last month. Now listed again for not. Oh my! Seriously? I might just have to pull that up. Although I'll probably get like slammed by the DRE. All right, so let's just say, okay, that's crazy. Okay, see, in a video guy, Matt, I think you are exactly the person who mentioned this. It's all about seller's pricing. I think something like this is absolutely nuts when you list it at a price and then you actually relist it and like nothing's done to the house. I even think that listing at the same price, it's still a little dicey. Sometimes I've seen it work. Like Corey's had luck with it before too, but I think you have to show the market that you're willing to negotiate a little bit. Because I think some people, if they see it listed at the same exact price, they're not even going to look at it because they're thinking to themselves, the seller's, definitely delusional. They're, they probably won't accept a lower offer, and we just don't really want to deal with it. So I don't know. That's my own 2 cents on that. All right, guys. So let's get into some Q&A. And if you guys have any more questions, I'm here for that. And video guy Matt, I need some more fun things to make us all think that the world is ending. So please give me more. All right, let's get into some questions and everything too. I hope you guys are having a great evening. All right, so let's take a look at a little bit of like what interest rates are doing. Now, this was last week. So last week we're at 616, and here we are today at 620. So as we see interest rates are like and I mentioned this, I think mentioned this like in January early, is I felt that, and again, this W is when, who made that huge announcement that he was going to force Fannie Mae to buy the bonds. And that reacted for like 2 days. And then we went back up to where we normally should be. So as we see, interest rates are hovering between 6 and 6.5. Not fantastic. I think a lot of people expected it to be lower than that. But, this is where we are. From last week to this week, we ticked up a little bit too. Now, again, we're hitting towards a hotter market. We're hitting towards March eventually. February, Super Bowl is going to be over. And then we're into March and April, spring market. So it's going to be kind of crazy around here in Sacramento. Now, I know last year demand was low, But what I've been noticing right now is not a whole lot of like, let's buy this house right now, but I'm seeing a lot of people get prepped for moves that they need to make. So I do think this year probably going to be the same as last year, but I do think that where we're going to see our bump is probably a little closer towards like March, as opposed to last year when we saw the bump like around like December and January. That's just my own gut. I'm just feeling it with the phone calls I'm getting and the people I'm talking to on the phone. Oh, by the way, guys, if you're enjoying the live broadcast, please hit that like button. It would mean a whole lot to me and the YouTube algorithm. All right, here we go. Pamela, earlier mentioned hub areas. What is a hub for the pocket? I would say, okay, so the pocket is kind of an interesting spot. And let's take a look at it real quick. And right, here we go. Boom. Okay, so the pocket is kind of interesting right here. So I would say, if anything, the pocket has pretty, I mean, it still has a pretty solid access to downtown Sacramento for shopping. I would say the pocket, the thing that I like about the pocket is, and it's the weirdest community because it just seems like, you know, you have access to, where is it? You have access to Elk Grove as well too, Land Park, East Sacramento. So your kind of hub would probably be around there. But if you talk to anyone who lives in the pocket, they're not, I don't know, they're not like, they're not going to, a lot of people there, and I'm probably generalizing, which isn't a great thing to do, but the people I've met in the pocket just love their privacy, love the lifestyle of being relaxed, and they're not just avid shoppers. But if it's me, I'm thinking that their hub is probably going to be a little bit more downtown Sacramento, probably that area, you know. And what I found too, what we've worked with a lot of people who live in the pocket, is that they work at like UC Davis Medical Center, or they work that area. So my guess is they do their shopping there and then they drive home to the pocket and they relax. The pocket is an interesting area. And if you guys don't know where the pocket is, here you go, right here. And you'll know exactly why it's called the pocket. It's pocketed in between the Sacramento River and the 5. And it's really, really super cute area. You have your little water areas as well too, parks and everything too. It's a really cute place. I'd say a lot of the homes there are built in like the 60s, 70s. It is a spot that I get asked for a lot. In fact, one time I went there and some lady was actually pulling out her boat and she had caught a salmon in the Sacramento River. I like the pocket. I think I've never really heard anyone say anything get negative about the pocket. I think inventory, you know, inventory is interesting. I've seen some mid-century moderns in the pocket. I've seen a lot of like, you know, houses built in the 70s. They're very unique. And I know there are a lot of, you know, there are some tract homes in the pocket, but it just doesn't feel that way. I think it's a very unique spot in the Sacramento area. I love it. I think it's fantastic. I think they have a really nice Italian restaurant that I heard in the pocket as well too. But yeah, no, I like that area. I think the pocket is really, really cute. If you're looking for something not really cookie cutter, if you're looking for something that's kind of you know, away from everything, but still kind of close to downtown, the pocket's like perfect. Really nice spot. All right, let's go back to some more slides. And guys, bring more questions. Come on. All right, let's go into some of this. No problem at all. All right. Boom. Video guy Matt. Man, I'm cutting out on you. Okay, so we go. Grew up in the pocket. We shopped in Elk Grove. Now Delta Shores is where. Oh, yeah. Video guy Matt, I got to bring you on the show. Yeah, Delta Shores is crazy. I think you are spot on. That whole South Sacramento area, you got like great shopping out there right down too. You got home goods, you got restaurants and eateries and everything too. And you got a lot of the big box stores over there in Delta Shores. You're totally right on money. Thank you for that. Boom. And since you brought it up, salmon growing up, I lived the salmon season. Kept our boat at Freeport Marina. Now the state is so screwed up that there's no salmon. It's illegal to even fish for them. Woo! That is crazy. Well, I'm not going to tell that lady. Yeah, that's crazy. But I mean, you know, and another thing to note is, and this is a video I did a while ago about river life. I mean, West Sacramento, the yacht club, boats. It's a big thing here in Sacramento as well too. If you like boats, guys, Sacramento is a great spot for you. Okay, so this is where we are looking. Rates are ticking up just a tad bit. So it'll be interesting to see what happens after the Super Bowl. I'm thinking end of February, March, where you're probably going to see a little bit of a tick up. It's just, I'm talking to way too many people who are getting ready for their move. And they're definitely more of the mindset that when Jerome Powell leaves office, there's going to be a little bit of a dip in rates, and they would much rather not deal with the competition and would much rather buy now and then refinance if rates drop. So that's interesting. What's the minimum down payment on a $600,000 home right now? If you're an investor, I think it's like 20%. And I've actually got people into a $600,000 home with one lender for 3% down. So you can go 3, 5, 10, 20 gets rid of PMI. So that's kind of where it would kind of be. But there's a lot of programs out there that can work with you. I mean, there's also some grant programs as well too. One of these days I'll have a lender on. We'll talk a little bit about grant programs. But yeah, one time I got someone into actually a brand new home at Lennar, and he got in with a 3% loan. So yeah, that can definitely happen as well too. Also, for all you people who are self-employed like myself, there's also bank statement loans. So bank statement loans are pretty good. I think you need like a year or 6 months of those. And I'm not a lender. And what I'm noticing right now as well is that another thing that kind of goes into my thought that March could be a pretty big month for real estate is that I'm talking to a lot of people right now that are trying to file their taxes really, really early so they can jump into the housing market. So I'm talking to a lot of people, my videographer even. So it's going to be interesting. And I think March could be a really, really interesting month for real estate. My pessimism being higher than last year. Software stocks and getting killed right now. It's no secret that mass amounts of new buyers to SAC have been Bay Area software peeps. They're going poor, but they're in their homes and they're in an area where standard of living is a lot less. So I don't know. I think if anything, a lot of people are going to be, coming into Sacramento from the Bay Area because they're priced out. Just my own 2 cents. All right, hold on. All right, what do you think about Rancho Cordova north of 50? Hard to find decent listings on resales anywhere right now. Does it get scooped up right away if the pricing is reasonable? What do you think about Rancho Cordova north of the 50? Okay, so are you talking about like where all the new homes are, or are you talking about the resale kind of like just before sunrise, that whole area in Rancho? Let me know which one you're talking about. Resale's tough. Although I will tell you one thing, if you're looking for a resale, and you're okay with like some Melrose, one of the things I've been noticing is in the Rancho area, been seeing a lot of like 3-year-old homes, 4-year-old homes up for sale, and they are just sitting. Prices are being slashed on them, and they just cannot move these resale homes. And I tell all my clients straight up, I'm like, look, if you plan on buying a new home in like your Ranchos, your West Roseville, just be really wary that you need to stay in there probably for 5 to 7 years, because if you go to sell your home, let's say like 3 years down the road, you're probably going to compete against the same builder you bought your house from, and they're probably going to give incentives. I don't see them stopping that anytime soon. And you're going to compete against that. To just be aware that if you do buy a home in an area that's like tons and tons of new homes, and you decide to sell it in a couple of years, it just might not be a good move. Oh, resale. Oh, okay. Besides Gold River. Yeah, those things get picked up really fast. Like Sun River. Ooh, Sun River is one of my favorite spots. No HOAs, no Melrose. We sold a house in Sun River like 7 months ago, and that thing flew. Honestly, I think it's one, because the price point is good. I think there's areas right now in Sacramento that the price point, like, how can I say it? Like, people don't realize the price point is so good. I think Rancho is one of those spots. I think Rosemont, College Glen, there are other spots like that. I think Citrus is still like that as well too. But those are the hard ones because they are relatively like, comparatively towards other areas, they're really affordable, For example, in the Rosemont College Glen area, you can get like a 3-bedroom, 2-bath in the 4s. Where else can you get really that? And something that isn't beat up, something that you probably move right into. And Rancho kind of fits right into that as well too. Now, I will tell you this, for the Rancho area, like besides Gold River, if it's me, I would say this: talk to your realtor. And usually in that area, I think there's like 3 or 4 realtors that sell in that area. Everyone kind of focuses on areas. That's how neighborhood specialists kind of work. So if you can find someone who sells in those areas, and you will, it's easy. Go to Zillow, and usually it's the people who are paying for the Zillow leads. And so you'll go there and you'll see like maybe 3 or 4 realtors. Now, if you call those realtors or have your realtor call them up, they probably have some they have some listings that they're sitting on that they want to list in spring. And so if your realtor says, hey, I have a client, he's pre-approved, he really loves his area, do you have anything I could show him off market? Off market is more popular than it ever has been before. I know so many realtors that are doing off market deals, things that don't even hit the MLS. and it's a good way to be. So I would say talk to your realtor and say, look, find me 3 or 4 realtors in this area that are the people who are listing the homes. Contact them directly. Let them know that you have a client that is looking in this area and wants to look at some off-market stuff. We do that for our clients at times as well too. It works like a charm. So hopefully that helps. Boom. No Gold River. You don't want to be neighbors with Mark. You know what's crazy about my Gold River? Okay. I'm going to tell you this about Gold River. My HOA just went up to $500. I know. No gate. Security, the only thing that security does is basically tell you not to park in your driveway, which you can't do. So yeah, I would say right now for me, like, I love Gold River. Everything's fine. Everything's good. But man, that HOA is just so crazy. So I would say before you jump into Gold River, look through the HOA, and some villages are fantastic, and some villages the board isn't fantastic. I would say before you pull the trigger on a home, and anywhere that you've heard rumblings that the HOA might be a little restrictive, go to one of the HOA meetings and figure out how bad it is before you jump in. Because for me, if I would have gone to a meeting at this one village that I bought into ahead of time, I probably would not. I would have steered clear of the village I'm in myself. So I would say just be very, very, very careful. Like I said, I don't think HOAs are good or bad. I think there's pros and cons to both of them, but I do think that some HOAs just get carried away, and just be careful. Okay. I don't have Mark money. Ish. Nah. All my money is in tea and glasses. All right, guys, if you're enjoying the broadcast, smash that like button. And before we get going, I want to tell you guys something real quick. I appreciate you guys. Appreciate you guys tuning in. I appreciate you guys taking the time to put up your comments and your questions. You guys don't really realize it, but all your questions, all your comments, even you, video guy, Matt, all the things you're putting here, out there really, really help people who are coming in here. They're going to see this maybe for the first time. They're going to say, hey, there's some realtor with some, talking to himself and this and that. But your questions are the validity to everything. Your questions are, and your comments about Sacramento are stuff that really, really helps people out. They see your questions. And these are people like you guys who live in Sacramento, move to Sacramento, or maybe you're thinking about it. This right now, all the comments, all the questions you guys put on the lives, that's the gold of the lives. For me, that's 100%, because if it was me and I was moving into an area and I was watching a video of someone tell them about the market, about this, about that, I'd say, I don't really know this person, but then I'd start seeing the comments, and all those comments and all that information that was being said, that's kind of like Amazon reviews. That's kind of like, oh, this person said that about Orangeville. This person said that about Citrus Heights. Oh, I didn't know that about Rancho. So I want to just take a moment and say to all you guys out there who take time to put these comments out there, thank you very much. And this goes, honestly, there's probably so many people who watch this stuff that based on your comments, they're going to do research. It's going to help them make a decision. So you guys are awesome. Thank you. All right. Thank you, Ginger. You guys are awesome. All right, let's go to some more questions, and then we will wrap it up. Man, last night was brutal. I was editing a video. That video I did on Folsom till like 2 a.m. Oof, it was nuts. All right, let's get into a little market analysis. All right, so we're seeing the market right here. The market hasn't changed from last week or the week before too much. I mean, you're going to hear rumblings, this and that and the other thing, but market's just feeling a little kind of like you're feeling. You feel a little bit like there's a lot of activity. People are making, getting positions. I'd say exactly. That's how I would exactly describe it. Everyone that I'm talking to feels like they're getting a position or they're getting prep for something. They're getting ready to pounce into the market. And I love it. I love the fact that you guys are out there looking at places, getting yourself educated. Maybe you don't make the move, but at least you're taking the time to do your diligence, your education piece of it. Come out here, take tours and all that stuff too, because that is so important to making a decision. I mean, I always laugh because, someone buying a TV, they'll do reviews, they'll check forums and everything too. Houses, they come out here and sometimes they find the first one and they're good to go. Do your due diligence, figure out communities, figure out areas, figure out which realtor you're working with, your lender you're working with, and really understand that this is going to be one of the biggest purchases you make in your entire life. And work with a team that you believe in, you trust in, that is just, that has your back in this situation, that does not leave you hanging. All right. Got Lori E. It is relevant.
Plus, you have a personality that's easy to learn from with your even keel. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, it was so funny. Michelle on my team was like, "You're always enthusiastic. How are you?" Guys, I love what I do. And doing this live show, it's funny because a lot of people, will talk to me and go, "I can't believe you do that live show every single week." You guys give me energy. This is like fun for me. So, going over this stuff is stuff that is unpacking my week, and you guys are giving me a little real estate therapy. So I appreciate it. So, like I said, it's a strong seller's market, kind of. It depends, right? If it's aggressively priced and, it's turnkey, it's moving. If it's a fixer, people aren't really into fixers too much, especially jumping into like high interest rates. So I'd say if it's reasonably priced, aggressively priced, it's turnkey, things are moving pretty well. If not, it's price sitting. And like my buddy Matt says over there too, he's saying like, sellers are just not pricing right. So it's about pricing. All right, what's up, Mark? Going to shoot you a text tomorrow about my home in Curse Park. I've watched you for the past years, and I think you have the right vibe as an agent. Your show here is very informative. I appreciate it. I think, the funny thing for me also too is now that I start putting on these glasses, I'm reading so much better. So I'm starting to get to term with these bad boys. All right. Boom. Cool. All right, Devin, look forward to your call. And Curse Park is so amazing. I just even to drive down there, hit a couple of those coffee shops, I'll thank you in advance. All right. Let's move it on. Boom. All right. So inventory is dropping a little bit. Again, I think we're going to see March and April be a little bit of a pop. Everybody I know, every realtor I know has pocket listings. Every realtor I know has like pictures done, ready to go, and they're charging. I mean, it's crazy. I even talked to a friend of mine and I was like, at this point in time, everyone's getting these listing appointments. Everyone's going on listings. Everyone's doing all this stuff too. Everyone's prepping. But what I've been finding more than not is that, people are listing homes that have been listed like 2 times before, 3 times before. Now, the new stuff that you guys come out with, like the first time you come out with a home on this market right now, if you price good, I think it's going to move. You just have to really make the good first impression. Buyers right now are not just like, oh, wow, that looks like a new house. Their buyers are smarter than they've ever been. If you put up a house and you switch the description around or move the photos around and you keep the same price, they know it's been on the market 3 or 4 times. You got to be smarter than that too. And again, aggressive pricing wins the day, and video marketing. The house in Folsom, I just did drop the video. You guys saw it. We have our first offer within 2 hours of the video that I did going live from the video. Boom, just like that. All right, so here's the thing. I saw this and I found this very, very fascinating. Okay, so least to most. This is where people are kind of coming in to Sacramento. Texas, that's easy. I'm moving a lot of people in from Texas, getting a lot of calls from Texas. But this is where I found pretty interesting as well too. Look at this. Out of everywhere in the United States, yeah, we got, the usual stuff, LA, we got the Bay and everything too. But like this totally boggled my mind. Look at all this East Coast action here. Man, that's nuts. And now you guys want to see where everyone's moving from Sacramento? Boom. Everyone's going back to Texas. Everyone's going to Florida. Everyone's going, everyone's leaving to other states. Crazy. And for all you people leaving Sacramento, I wish you nothing but the best. If you are thinking about selling your house, reach out to our team. And for all you people who are looking to buy homes, maybe one of these homes could be for you. So it's a win-win, I think. And right, let's go to this. And here are some of the areas. People are moving from Sacramento, are moving to Sacramento from San Francisco, of course, Fresno, Houston. That's very interesting. Los Angeles, Visalia. Interesting. Okay. New York, Philadelphia, Seattle, San Diego, and Washington, D.C. The ones that strike me as being very odd is a lot of people from New York, Philadelphia, and D.C. are moving into Sacramento. That is very, very interesting. I would have thought it would have been a little bit more like, cities in Florida or Texas more and everything too, or even like Arizona, like Phoenix or something. This is very interesting. And now people are leaving Sacramento. Back at you. Texas, Boise, Nashville, Atlanta, Austin. I will say this. If I was blindfolded and what's called gagged and bound. And someone said, you have to live somewhere in Texas because there's no way that would happen other than that. Austin was probably the only spot in Texas that I'd move into. Yeah. Okay. Austin does make sense. Clear Lake, California. All you Sacramentoans are leaving at Clear Lake. Interesting. Hawaii. Okay. That's where Nikki's from. So I get that too. Interesting. So there's some stats, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it, but this is where people are coming and this is where people are leaving to. All right. And another announcement. Boom. Costco. January 23rd. The second Costco in Roseville, California, guys. 2 Costcos in Roseville. Unbelievable how much we love our Costcos. All right. Boom. Boom, boom, boom. All right. Can you talk a little bit about boat yacht scene that you mentioned a few minutes ago? Where about in Sac? Okay, so this video is like on the channel. It was a 4th of July video, and I went to the West Sacramento Yacht Club. And I went down there, and it was hilarious. There were like $4 drinks, and there were yachts there, and there were people sleeping on their boats, and there were people barbecuing, and they were drinking way too early in the morning. And it was crazy. It was just a very good vibe. And they're all getting ready to just take their boats out. A friend of mine has a boat. And so we went for a drive and everything too. But the funny thing is, like, people were swimming in the water. They're cruising around. The yacht club, is in West Sacramento, but it was a very fun vibe. Everyone there was really, really happy. There's some big boats too. And everyone just kind of caravanned out to various areas. It was a fun vibe. I would say if you're coming out here and go to like the West Sacramento, go to the yacht club in West Sacramento. There's, I think, what is it? A like not Chili's, a like Chevy's on the deck that you can go there as well too to eat. Really nice vibe. There's boats there. I think you can actually rent this one boat where like, I don't know, you have like 100 people on it and it goes out there. It's like one of those big platform boats or whatever. But the vibe there is really, really cool. Everyone there was very, very friendly. And a lot of people actually live on their boats out there. So for me, I was just blown away. I didn't really know we had that type of river life. And, they're swimming in the water, they're hanging out, and everyone's getting together, barbecuing on the docks. It's pretty, pretty cool. And I would say if you guys are new to the area and you're thinking, where does this boat life kind of exist? Go to West Sacramento. Go to the West Sacramento Yacht Club. I think there's a Chevy's out there, something like that, to go eat and just start kind of talking to them a little bit. I think there's a membership on the Yacht Club, but they're telling me, the membership's fantastic because, drinks are cheap and everyone gets together and hangs out. So if you are into like boats, if you are saying to yourself, man, I'm going to Sacramento, I always wanted a boat, I would say start at the West Sacramento Yacht Club. And take a look out there. I had nothing but the best time. And the people I met there were super friendly, super nice. They're all so proud of their boats. Barbecue is fantastic as well too. And a good time to check it out as well too is 4th of July because everyone's out there, everyone's gathering, and they're all going to take their boats out for fireworks. So it was really, really a fun time. All right, boom. Is it true that we have to pay a realtor if we buy a new construction home in cash? No. Well, okay. So here's where it gets interesting. And, all the people we work with will probably like attest to this. I don't think for new homes, you should have to ever pay your realtor. That's exactly what I've always believed. I think new homes, and that's one thing our team does. And if you ever work with our team to buy you a new home, not one penny will come out of your pocket. Even if you find a community that like, they do not pay realtors, we're good. That's your money. My belief on my team straight up is that the builder will pay us and not one dime will come out of your pocket. Now, what I have noticed with other realtors is that they'll sign people to like a 3% or 3.5 buyer broker. And so when they go to close, the builder might be offering like maybe $5,000 and, 3.5 or 3% is maybe like 15,000 or 10,000. That money, actually, you'll have to pay the realtor. And if you don't have that money, you won't close on your house. So just be really, really careful when you're working with a realtor in the new home thing. Make sure when you're signing the buyer broker, you're very much like diligent, adamant, and saying like, look, Mark and his team said for them, they will not get one penny out of their pocket. Can you match that? And, as far as I know, we're the only team doing it. my YouTube channel would be lit up like a Roman candle if I was BSing, and that's kind of how I believe it. I've always believed that the builder should pay the entire commission, and whether that's $2, whether that's $1,000 or whatever, like that's our commission, and no money will ever be taken out of your pocket, whether you pay cash, whether you pay with gold bullion or whatever, not one penny out of your pocket. That's just I just don't believe business should be done that way. So that's it. All right. The number moving here from San Francisco explains a lot. Quality of life here continues to decline. Video, come on, video guy, Matt. Okay, I'm going to send you a virtual beer. Clear Lake, laugh out loud. That's a huge surprise. Maybe a big family that made the move. I know. Clear Lake. Is that bizarre? I'm like, Clear Lake? Seriously? Clear Lake? Oh, yeah, Swabby's. Yes, that is it. Okay. Man, my brain escaped me. It was Swabby's restaurant bar out there. Yeah, it was Swabby's. Funnest vibe though. There's been a few times I kind of want to go out there because there's live music and everything too. But if you like river life, that's a fantastic spot, honestly. All right, in developments in Folsom this year in the 600s, low or no HOAs. Ooh, okay. So let me think. In the 600s, I think Esquire by KB is still doing it. I don't know if they have I don't think they have an HOA. I'll double check for you. I do think Taylor is building a community that should be ready to rock probably around July. They will not have any HOAs, and I think they're going to create 3 tiers. So I think their first tier of communities out there is probably going to be somewhere in the low 600s. They did that just a little while ago at their community. They had Debut, Legends. Well, they had 3 tiers, and Debut was definitely in the 600s. So I think Taylor Morrison is probably going to be your best bet when they start building. What else is building? You can go Tri Point with the condos they're building out there, but they definitely have HOAs. Let me think. I would say this though: if you're looking for a smoking deal, this is great. Try to look, and I know everyone's like, I want new homes, but the best bang for your buck in Folsom Ranch is going to be if you can pick up any of those the homes that were selling like 2 years ago, the Tri Point, Cannerly, and Lariat. I've seen a couple of them go up for sale, and they've been in the low 6s. They're legit houses, 4 bedrooms, 2 baths. And I've been seeing them sell in the 600s, and then write in maybe a $20,000 seller credit, so the seller will help you buy down your rate. Smoking deal right there too. But getting back to what I said, I think Taylor Morrison is probably going to be your best bet. All right. If you had $1 million budget for a home and wanted to be in a good school district, where would you buy in Sacramento, greater Sacramento area? Okay. So for me, how can I say this? It would be subjective for schools. So schools, you got to kind of throw that away a little bit, just because for me, I could say this is good, and you could say that's good. So schools are a little thing. For me, if I had $1 million, I look at it also for an area that's kind of growing and developing. If I had $1 million right now, where would I go? Okay, you guys help me answer this. If I had $1 million, I was thinking to myself, where would I go? I'd probably be looking maybe at the new community coming out by Taylor Morrison and Folsom Ranch. Because I know that, here's the thing about Taylor, right? Number one is they always start low and then they go up high. If you saw the homes that they were selling at their last community, they started like maybe $100,000 lower and then they built in. I would be looking at one of the biggest floor plans, maybe like the Ravine. And then I would probably put in a pool. I like that. I also like West Roseville too. I think if I could get something at Double S Ranch, woof, that'd be awesome. But I don't think I can get anything under $1 million over there. I still like Whitney Ranch, even though it's in PG&E country. I think Whitney Ranch, $84 HOA, swimming pool, clubhouse, and everything too. And I think you got great elementary school that's super close by, and then you got Whitney High School, and you're super close to Rockland High School as well too. I think that's a great one. The only thing is that if you had to commute somewhere, that could be a little bit of a pain. Those would probably be what I'd probably be looking at. And there's a part of me, the whole like romanticized version of maybe $1 million, finding something in Carmichael, a little older, renovating it and having it. But I don't know. That's kind of what I'd probably be looking at. The pocket for $1 million. Ooh, you can get something really nice over there too. Another thing that I think is a gold mine that I think a lot of people like miss out on. It's not really my style. It's my on the team is Michelle's kind of style. Is what I've been noticing in East Sacramento is there's a lot of 3-and-1s that if you convert them to 3-and-2s, you can make a lot of money off that as well too. And a lot of people aren't thinking that way. So that might be something I might look into. I like the Arden area as well too. You got Rio. I don't know. It's tough. I would say right now, if I was looking at something for everything, it's hard to beat Folsom. I mean, for the popularity, for everything that's developing, I would say ideally, if I could find something for 1 million in maybe Lexington area, maybe Rancho Marietta, or not Rancho Marietta. I mean, what's called Briggs Ranch or Rancho Diablo. I think those areas are amazing. Maybe even something in American River Canyon. That I think would be a really good score as well too. So that'd be me. What do you guys think? What would you guys do? $1 million in Sacramento. What would you do? All right. If I rent my house out and buy another one to live in, then does the lender take my rental income into account? Yes, they do. Yep. I'm retired state and county worker. Yep. That goes into your income. So yeah, they do. And I have a great lender, a bunch of great lenders, actually. Let me know. Yes, sir. Upcoming. I meant the Ivy one being around 2 years. Thanks, man. No worries. Like I said, on this channel, I will let you guys know about every single new community, like the new one coming up by Toll Brothers in West Sacramento. I guarantee you, if you ask any new home realtor, they will not know at all what's going on with that stuff too. I have the inside track on almost every single new community except for Sherwood, but I'm getting there on this. I'm also doing a video with someone at Toll Brothers that's going to happen probably the next couple months. We're going to be driving around every single Toll Brothers destination that they're going to be building in Sacramento. We're going to be doing a video. On Friday, I'm actually going to be doing a 10-question segment with one of the top luxury home builder, and this is a custom home builder. We're going to be talking about how you can do it, how you can pick up some land, how you can get a construction loan, how much it costs per square foot, areas that you should build in, areas you shouldn't build in, the pros and cons and everything too. And this guy builds houses in Granite Bay, Loomis, everywhere, Lake Tahoe. He is like the creme de la creme of custom home builders. So hopefully I'll have that video for you in a couple weeks, but that is going to be amazing. In fact, the house that I'm selling in Verdera, he built that one. So it should be crazy. All right. Boom. Arden Carmichael area. Ooh, yes. Palm Drive, Carmichael. I like that. SS 1618. Ooh. There's so many good spots. Pocket and private school. Ooh, okay. All right. What's the Melrose like in those new Woodside houses in Rancho Antolia? And do they have HOAs? They do not have HOAs, and they do have Melrose. I think depending on what community, anywhere between 350 and 450, somewhere around there. But they don't have HOAs. Those communities are cute. Like, I'll tell you something. Aspen and Willow, if you guys go there, they're going to sell out like crazy. The price point, the backyard size, the location, those communities are kind of the it communities that are selling. If you guys are looking for something like in the 5s, 6s, I think the 4s are already gone. Those communities are just going to fly like crazy. I would definitely go out there. Tell them Mark sent you, and they'll say, "Who's Mark?" But it'll be funny anyways. All right. I spent $1 million in Folsom instead of West Roseville. Oh, okay. Let me ask you this. If you could get one of those double S ranches on a 1/4 acre in West Roseville, would you get that instead of something in Folsom? How's that? All right. East Roseville, Grant Bay School District. But I understand good inventory is limited. East Roseville, Grant Bay, I'll tell you something, for $1 million, that is still tough. The crazy part is if you buy something for $1 million in East Roseville, Grant Bay, it could literally be a fixer. I mean, that area is so tough. All right. Boom. Dun, dun, dun. I'm going to rent a storage unit, start moving all my stuff out. Never again will I move a house to house in the same day. I want land and leg room around a small house. I know. One and done. Yeah, I know. So funny. My garage opener or my garage engine went kaput. And so we had to open up the garage and had someone came in to fix it. And I'm just looking at my garage thinking to myself, if I ever move, this is going to be at least like 2 weeks of putting our stuff to another house. Yeah. Moving is not fun, guys. Now, remember that when you buy your house. If you're looking at a house and saying, oh, we're only going to be there for a few years, look at all your stuff. Moving, not fun at all. All right. Boom. Selling a house in Probate, California. Oh, Brandon, we got to have you on the show again, man, Mr. Marr. Okay, I think you nailed it with Folsom or West Roseville, especially if you're looking for great schools with great sports programs and You get either some of the lowest electric rates. My vote, Folsom. Yeah, it's hard to beat Folsom. All right, guys. Also, if you have any questions about probate, if you're thinking probate could be the way to go, I would say check out this YouTube channel right here. Right here. Let me see. Right here. Boom. Right there. It's awesome. All right. Boom. Almost 480 in Melrose for something around 3,000 square feet. They can go up. Yeah, Melrose is a crazy one. Melrose, you can't really control, taxable bond. And if they decide to put in more stuff, like another school or whatnot, it can be put right over that. So yeah, be careful. But Mr. 350 for Willow. They're selling dirt. QMI is good. I know. Also, guys, here's the thing. If you guys are looking, I'm going to drop a Meritage video too. If you're looking for Meritage, and I do think Meritage, for me, probably the best bang for your buck. If you're looking for something like affordable, you still want square footage. If you're looking for something like Meritage in Galt, if you're looking for something in like Natomas or anywhere Meritage sells, reach out to me directly. Even if you don't want to work with good old Mark, I'm going to put you in touch with my buddy Ben. He works at Meritage, and honestly, he is one of the best new home people ever. He's not pushy. I mean, he's almost the anti-pushy. He will tell you everything. He's completely transparent, and he's a rock star. His name's Ben, and I'll give you an intro to him, and you don't even have to use me as a realtor, but he is a rock star. And his wife, Lacey, is actually opening up one of the hottest communities in like the downtown area. Beezer, I checked out these houses. It's like urban kind of New York. All the finishes were amazing. Gorgeous place as well too. If you're looking for something like a 3-story house, but it's not like, cramped or anything too, and you want like those really nice semi-textured walls or imperfect smooth walls and everything too, this community is like nothing I've seen in the Sacramento area. All right, agree, Ben. You can buy the dirt for $1 billion. You guys are cracking me up here. All right, I just bought one of the new homes east of Antolia, Seasons by Cypress. Excited to see the growth in the area. You got what? And it's so funny. A lot of people with Rancho, they don't really know too much about what's happening. Like you got downtown Dova. They're creating an entire downtown area in Rancho where it's going to be centered by a indoor soccer stadium. And we're not talking just like some kind of, there's 3 people can go in there. We're talking like this is going to be like indoor MLS kind of thing. It's going to be crazy. Then you got Braden Project, which is underway. You got the Connector Project. You got all that stuff being built, all the stores as well too. That area is going to be so fun to watch develop. I'm excited. I like that area, and I think it's growing, and I think it's going to be a fun area to live in. And it was one of the areas I was looking at myself. All right, boom. All right, let's go to some more questions, and then we will call it a night. Better investments, stocks or real estate? Yeah, I know. It's very subjective depending on the market. I get it. But look at this. Stocks over real estate. You guys are crazy. Everyone's buying AI stock. All right. Who's leaving Sacramento in 2026? Yes, no. Guys, don't leave. The party has just started here in Sacramento. I'm telling you, surf park in West Roseville. Get your snowboard, get up to Tahoe. I know it's not a great season, but it is what it is. Guys, Sacramento is going to hit another growth spurt, and you're going to be so annoyed that you left. And then by the time you try to jump back into Sacramento, prices are going to be like that. So I'm just giving you a little heads up on that. All right, best homes with views in the Sacramento area. El Dorado Hills by pretty much a landslide. Although I will say Folsom, Lakeview, Oaks, that's Serpa area as well too. I think the new home company, built some nice homes over there as well. I don't know, but El Dorado Hills, it's hard because those sunrises, those sunsets are just one of a kind. All right, favorite suburb for Bay Area buyers, Folsom, Elk Grove. Those are the two. Those are the top ones, I'd say. Folsom takes it away by a little bit. I think Bay Area people do love Folsom. I will say this. I think Bay Area people who maybe have to commute 1 day a week, I think they might shift over to Elk Grove. All right, 2 days ago. Who's worried about rising home insurance? Yeah, I think everybody is. And I think that if you are going to be purchasing a house, I don't care where it is, right? Make sure that you have a good insurance broker. Make sure they're giving you good quotes. Also, make sure that, your realtors can go, home insurance is fine. The people living there right now, they're only paying that much. They could have been grandfathered into their policy. Just make sure what it looks like when you yourself, if you buy this house, how much your policy, how much will cost, what will that look like? That is hugely important in any purchase you make, period. All right, best homes with views in the Sacramento area. I feel like anybody that didn't pick El Dorado Hills hasn't spent much time enough there. Laugh out loud. I'm probably just not biased because I love the area. El Dorado Hills is gorgeous. And if you guys are new to the area, I would say go check out the town center. Take a drive down Greenview. Just tell them you're looking at one of the lots of land in Serrano. Gorgeous area. Can't say enough about it. Oh, by the way, guys, if you guys are enjoying the show, smash that like button. It would mean a lot to me and that pesky YouTube algorithm. All right. Better investment. Depends on the cap rate. Agreed. Best homes with views. I guess I like El Dorado Hills. Has more sun, more days of the year, and rolling hills and trees to look at. I'm not a fan of cityscapes. El Dorado Hills, man. I think El Dorado Hills for the win on that one. All right, we got Coach. Will they ever build a Will they ever build a connector freeway from 99 to West Roseville by Baseline? I don't know. I know the only thing that I know is they're doing Roseville Parkway, Placer Parkway. They're doing the connector project. I'm lobbying for like an underground tunnel underneath Folsom Lake, but no one's buying it. They got to create more infrastructure for us. I mean, traffic, as we all know it, is getting brutal. So hopefully, I mean, there's traffic as we all know it. I think maybe they're trying to think that we don't know traffic is getting bad, but how many of you guys have exited East Bidwell lately? I mean, is it just me, or have you guys noticed traffic is pretty brutal over there? All right, who's worried about rising home insurance? The best way to insure a home. Oh, this is a good one. And you guys, if you guys could help me with this one, because I don't know this one. What is the best way to insure a home if it's paid off? I would think just fire and flood insurance. I would love comments from people and opinions that have their houses paid off. I'm not 100% sure on this one at all, but if you guys could chime in, answer Sergio's question, that'd be awesome. All right, another one. Boom. Oh man, I am the boom guy. That's to Sergio and Davis. Sacramento's how's the deal? Love this model. Ready to move to Rockland, California in 6 months. Guys, Rockland is awesome. Bickford Ranch is amazing. We've got so many spots in the Sacramento area for you guys to check out. Also, if you guys are into active communities, I would say check out the new one in Rancho. You can get a house for $400,000. The clubhouse looks like something out of Lake Tahoe. We got Sun City as well, too. We have Regency. We got so much stuff here in Sacramento. Sacramento's amazing. All right. I love Sacramento for 24-hour Winco and Sizzler. Oh, Sizzler. I know. I didn't think Sizzler was around anymore until I came back to Sacramento. Love me my Sizzler. All right. How do you compare Roseville, Rockland, Folsom to Solano County, Vacaville, and Fairfield? For me, at least, and I know because I've gone into like Vacaville. I know there are communities with on the hills and everything, too. But how I'd compare Rockland to Folsom. Folsom, I think, is just the thing about Folsom is that you're close to Folsom Lake. You got Lake Natoma. There's so many walking trails, hiking trails. It's so green and lush. You kind of have almost like a Lake Tahoe vibe there, right? Really resorty, really fun. Very it just feels kind of like almost you're like in Tahoe or some place that you should be vacationing. That's how I feel about Folsom. I would say Rockland and Roseville. I think Roseville is like you got shopping over there too. It feels a little because it's near Grant Bay, really nice. Kind of get the high end vibe with like Louis Vuitton stores and everything too. It's trafficy a little bit about the 85 and 80, but I see it's really active. You see a lot of businesses there too in Roseville. You got Kaiser's there. I don't know for me, Vacaville and Fairfield just seem a little kind of spread out and flat. And I do realize there are other areas that are kind of like, in those both areas that there are like hilly and there's nice communities there. But for me, I think, Rockland, resorty, Folsom kind of feels a little resorty as well too. Roseville seems a little bit like, metro for like the Sacramento area where you have like good restaurants and good dining. And there's a lot of activities for the kids to do over there too. I just didn't really see that too much in Fairfield and Vacaville. And it just seemed like Fairfield and Vacaville, the freeway just kind of went right through it. And it just didn't seem as like, scenic, I guess you can call it, as your Folsom and your Rockland. But that's just me. I've never really dove really deep into Vacaville and Fairfield. I just didn't find them as, and this is just for me, as appealing as like a Folsom or like a Roseville and a Rockland. But that's just my own 2 cents. Yep. Active community means plus 55. And the funniest thing is a lot of people look at these plus 55s and they're like, I'm not going to a retirement community. They are the furthest thing for a retirement community. They're like a cruise ship on the land. There's like the one at Regency, they have like food trucks. They have like live music. They have like crazy stuff going on there too. I mean, I was talking to one of the people at the sales office and they're like, last party, we had to kick them off the flamingo in the swimming pool. So it's kind of a fun vibe. I like it. I think it's really, really nice. And Toll Brothers, the price point at those active communities, especially for Toll Brothers, we're talking like you can get like a 3-bedroom home, two-bedroom home for like, I think a 2-bedroom you can get in the high 5s, and like a 3-bedroom you can get somewhere in like 7s and 8s. I mean, it's really, really nice for Toll Brothers. So I like those active communities. Boom. Oh, and Kem's family, also, let me know if I answered that correctly or not too. Now here's the thing. If you want to hit me offline as well too, feel free to give me a call. You tell me a little bit about your experience with Vacaville and Fairfield, and I can tell you a little bit about what Rockland, Roseville, and Folsom are like. And then you can do a little bit of the comparison as well too. So hopefully that helps. Cause I want to be fair to those areas as well too. I've never really explored them, so I don't want to be completely like kind of biased about that. And Geezer loved it. That was good. All right, guys. I'm done for the night. I'm gone. I'm out. Where do we go? We went an hour and a half tonight, guys. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your listening. I appreciate your comments and your questions. You guys make these live shows so much fun. Now, if there's anyone who's thinking about moving to Sacramento, if you have further questions about Sacramento, reach out to me. The number is right on the banner on the YouTube channel. Call me, text me. I live for this stuff and I answer my phones 24/7, not 24/7, but you know what I mean. Until next time, guys, this is Mark. Have a good one. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you this Friday where I'm dropping another video. And then I'll see you the following Wednesday on another live. See ya. Okay, guys, hopefully you enjoyed the show tonight. Buying and selling is stressful. I mean, there are definitely different avenues you can go in, and there's no guarantee. Every property is different, whether you're looking to buy it or sell it. So reach out to our team and we can talk to you a little bit about the pros and cons of selling currently, what your house is valued at, and all that stuff too. There's a link below to schedule a call. Now, if you're thinking about moving to the area, guys, reach out to our team as well. We're working with a lot of people relocating them to the Sacramento area. We absolutely love it. There's a Zoom link below. Set up a time where we can talk to you a little bit about what your needs are. Now, if you enjoyed this live broadcast, smash that like button. We would love to talk to you a little bit about Sacramento. I mean, we always are out and about. So if you're looking at places like El Dorado, Roseville, Rockland, Davis, we got you covered. Just reach out to us. And maybe you don't want to do a Zoom call, so just hit me at my phone number on the banner and we can talk a little Sacramento. Now, guys, one last thing before I go. There's a playlist right over there of other videos I've done about the Sacramento area. Knowledge is power. Those videos will help you kind of make a decision if Sacramento is that spot for you and you want to take it to the next stage. All right, guys, this is Mark. Have a good one. Hopefully you enjoyed the show. Remember, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next video.